This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so guys, we are talking about how to be a high performing team. So the first box we're going to start with is the one on the very lower right on the bottom. And this one, in this box, we're putting what's important to all of us on this team about being a high performing team. Not including behaviors, we're just including values. So does anyone want to start with a value?
Yeah, I will. I value being an effective team member.
Anybody else?
I said responsibility because we all need to be responsible for our own work so we're not dragging each other down and kind of building upon each other.
Yeah, I think as a group, as long as we're all success driven, I think that's huge. Like if one of us doesn't care if we get an A or not, I think that brings the entire group down. So I think if all of us are success driven, then I think that really like will get the whole group to be on board.
I agree with responsibility. Like, I think if everyone's responsible for their particular parts, then it makes the contribution equal for everyone else.
I was going to add to that fairness in addition to the responsibility, like everything being distributed fairly, which I think we did a good job our first meeting at dividing things up well.
I agree.
I think a successful team also has to be very flexible, especially in the way that we're all doing our learning, like online. We're all not all of us are in the same time zone. We're all working or not working and have kids and don't have kids, and it's a lot. And so being flexible, I think, is huge. I mean, even with our meeting today, we were flexible with having to move it to today. So I think that's huge in us being successful.
Definitely.
Some of the other ones that I had that kind of tie into what has already been said, a good work ethic kind of ties into being success driven. And I also had dependability.
Wait, what was that?
Dependability, like we can depend on one another. And then also being open-minded too, especially in a group that's this big.
Yeah.
And also maybe staying positive too, positivity.
Positive outlook is a good one for sure. I think I was mostly thinking like willingness to communicate and keep like an open form of communication because it is such a big group because there are so many of us.
Yeah, I think that one was huge for us. Like, we don't only talk on planned meeting days. We've been talking like throughout the week to get our stuff done.
So like constant communication.
Yeah, it really helps me to be able to message you guys when I have an issue or if I'm just wondering how to word something and someone is usually on.
And I do think that communication will probably fit into some of our later boxes too.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Anyone else have anything you think we're missing?
I think that's
Maybe
a list
even
of
like,
really good values.
yeah, it's a long list.
I think
Another one.
dependability too, we can put like accessibility, like being accessible.
Mm.
Did you say
like,
motivate?
I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, can you repeat what you said? Motivated?
Well, that's a good one too. I said accessibility, like being able to be, like one of you said, to be able to have a question and have someone on almost like all the time and have access almost instantly.
We might need a smaller font.
Another one I thought of was efficiency, because like coming prepared to meetings, it doesn't waste everybody's time if we're like all sitting here being like, I don't know what to talk about.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you guys want to move on to the next one? Okay. So the second box here is the box on the lower left side. And in this quadrant, we are thinking about when you think about being a high performing team, what thoughts or feelings show up or get in the way. And then she also wants us to add, when it's a thought, she wants it to be italicized, and we can also go back and do this later. And if it's a feeling, she wants it in all caps so that we're separating them. So maybe for now,
Let's do feeling.
yeah, or you could even put like feelings colon and thoughts colon, so you can just kind of add as we go. I'm not sure. Whatever's easiest for you as the note taker.
Sorry, it keeps moving this way.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix the thing over here.
I think a feeling that gets in the way sometimes, I don't know, because we are all in different time zones, it can get frustrating and overwhelming. There's a lot
I
of
think
different.
overwhelming is a good one for this project because
Yeah.
there's so many people, and at first it didn't really feel like I had a clear understanding of what exactly each section was comprised of.
Yeah, I think my hardest part, especially the overwhelming part, is like with all of our other big projects throughout our coursework, we always have like an example of what is needed, and so I feel so overwhelmed that I'm not doing it correctly, and I make myself feel that way because I want to make sure that you guys think that like I'm capable of doing it correctly. Like I don't want to be that team member that they're like, oh, don't give her anything because she hasn't done anything correct yet.
Constantly asking stupid questions either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put that as one of my inner stuff in that quadrant was like I was worried was a feeling, and then my thoughts were like, what if I misunderstood my part of the project?
Mm-hmm.
And then I always felt dumb if I asked a question because it's like, I don't want them to think I don't know what I'm doing. And then it would hold back and I wouldn't ask a question, which
I
was
think
dumb.
the first part of the coaching thing that Chelsea and I did was strictly questions for probably the straight first 3 days of it. They're like, oh, do we need this? I don't know. How about this? Who knows? Let's wing it and hope for the best.
Yep, I think the only thing that helped us was talking through it and then just realizing that you guys will give us feedback
Yeah.
and being like, well, if this isn't right, then we'll figure it out. But that was definitely a thought the whole time. I was feeling scared, and then the thought was, am I doing this right?
Especially in a group, you don't want to let the other people in your group down, especially how we have it broken off into sections where you're working directly with one other person. It's like, I hope they understand this and they don't think that I don't.
Yeah.
And what's kind of comforting is we all feel that way. So it's like we're all in the same boat of just wanting it to be done well and wanting to make sure we understand our sections and like just wanting people to think we're competent. So
I think one of my initial thoughts too of this whole group situation was I have never worked with this many people in a group, and I really hope that we work well together. But as we're working, I think we're doing awesome, like better than some past groups, honestly.
When I had 8 people, I was very concerned. Just because in group meetings, it can be so hard to not talk over each other and to not interrupt each other, and with 8 of us.
I think another feeling is definitely stress too.
Mm-hmm.
I think this project is due soon too, right? Our last module is coming up.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think another one too that was kind of hard is like when we were just chatting, like some of it was like, I don't know, like what voice to read that in, kind of, I guess if that makes sense. Like, do they mean this like not rude, but like I read it rude. Like if I had a rough day, I would read our chats a lot more rude than if not, if that makes sense. So I was like, I really hope they're not actually mad at me. Like I'm just asking a question, and then I'm like, oh, and then I'll go back the next day. I'm like, oh, why I don't know why I took it that way.
Was
Yeah.
that like how do I interpret what they say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm also
that's a
very
good
like
thought.
boring plain texter, like, and I feel like I can sometimes like come off that way too, and it's just because I'm a bad texter. Like I don't text with like emojis and like all these exclamation points. I'm just like very much to the point, and I'm never really by my phone, and I don't know. I think
Yeah,
I
that's
can.
why at first I was like, should I use smiley faces? Are we all business? How are we handling this?
Guys, I use way too many smiley faces and only exclamation points. It's really bad.
Yeah, mine's the exact same way.
I think another feeling we can add is apprehension. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a little apprehensive about like suggesting an idea because it's like, what if no one likes this idea? Or, what if someone has more experience than me about what I'm suggesting and, kind of make me look inadequate.
Yeah, that's a good one. I
It is.
And it
definitely
sounds
feel
like
that.
with all of us, it's kind of just like a lack of confidence in like what if. It's a big what if. And I think that's a huge thought with all of us is like, what if they don't like me? What if this isn't okay? What if this isn't right? What if, and it's just the lack of like the confidence of this giant project that 8 strangers are coming together to put together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a hard thing can also be that we're all planning on being BCBAs. We're all planning, I think at least all of us are, but we're all planning on doing that. And we're all planning on being kind of like leaders. So sometimes it's hard when if you have 8 people that's all like the mindset of being like, okay, like, so it gets kind of the opposite of the apprehension of bringing up like ideas and stuff of more like maybe sometimes being too many ideas or too many people being like, no, like it needs to be this way because all of us are like wanting to do leadership roles for the most part. Um, so that can kind of, I think, get in the way too, as far as thoughts and feelings of like maybe like, no, this idea is better. So,
Well, especially in this class, because I mean, that's literally what we're learning in this class. So I think
mhm.
How to be a leader, yeah.
yeah.
Are you guys ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the top left, what do you do to move away from or under the control of that bottom left stuff? So what we just talked about. So these are behaviors that you do when you have the thoughts and feelings you described in the lower left and that other team members or people outside your team might see you doing as a team.
I put that when I'm confused, I ask you guys I ask questions and ask for clarification.
Yeah. I definitely think this is where open communication can come back in. Where
Right.
I think all of us have been pretty good about trying to communicate when we have an issue or when we need to reschedule or if we're just confused about our concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been really
Like
good
all
at
caps.
communication.
Yeah.
Yes. I also think this group has been really good about like volunteering for stuff. Like I've never felt like one person isn't trying to make an effort to not do something, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah.
everyone's always like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I feel like you have more work. Can I have some of your work? And so that's really cool to see too. And then another one I had put is like setting aside time to do group assignments. Like I never feel like anyone's putting it, like last on their priority list. Like everyone gets their stuff done and we never have to like turn any assignments in late. So just getting our assignments done.
This is kind of going back to another one, but just our flexibility of even like last second, I had to change the meeting from last night to tonight, and all of you guys were like, oh, sure, no problem, so being willing and able to do that has been really awesome.
I think
Anyone
like
else?
this meeting in general, like, will help all of us too. Like hearing each other's voices and seeing each other and like, oh, I also feel this way. And oh, we all feel this way. And so like it's not so much of like it's me worried about everyone else, but like everyone is constantly worried that they're not doing enough. And so it's not just you. And I think that helps a ton too.
I think that can go under that quadrant too of reassuring each other.
Any other behaviors to put in this section?
I think that's a good list.
Okay. So then the last one is what can you do? Oh, wait, actually, yeah. What could you do as a team? Wait, what could you as a team be seen doing to move towards who or what is important? So these are behaviors and actions someone else could see you doing if you were acting in accordance with the value you named in the lower right quadrant. I think something in this section could be being an active communicator and responding to group messages.
I
So,
feel like this section is so similar to the quadrant we just did as far as like our behaviors. I'm like, what can that's better? Because I feel like we're doing a really good job as a group.
And I have another one that I thought of, and this one was just looking at the syllabus and the expectations when doing each assignment and also when giving feedback so that we can know what's supposed to be included.
So I think we've also been really good about looking back on each other's like their writings and stuff, because I know like there's a time with Chelsea and I in our coaching part, and she asked like how many clients do we have, what type of workers do we had and we had to go back and look, and like knowing exactly what's going on with our project and all of us are on the same page. I think it's not just one, each person is separate. I think we're really good as a whole knowing what's going on.
Also, maybe giving like quality feedback too. So not only is it good for our group, but it's obviously good practice for the roles we're going to be in as BCBAs.
I think that's a good one to practice on too now. It's hard when you're giving feedback to people.
it is, yeah.
And I think being accepting of that feedback too. Like not taking that feedback personal. Like, yeah, you're right, I do need to do this way better. Thanks for checking it over.
I feel like everyone in our group so far has been great about that, though. Like, we've all taken the feedback that everyone else has given and really been grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of it.
I know there's been, like, a couple times that someone has asked, like, hey, if you guys have a free second, can you look this over? And we've kind of, like, been collaborating on our assignments even before it goes to the part where we give each other feedback, so that could maybe be something.
Anyone have anything else? I think we have a good list for all the sections.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
We have a lot of values.
There's a lot of us, so it works.
Cool, I think it looks good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think so too. Turned out good. The formatting is so weird. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. I think it looks just fine.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Do you have anything else to add on to the list?
I think we have pretty, like, good little lists for all four.
I think it's pretty
Okay.
thorough.
I'm gonna stop recording it then. That's okay
Cool.
with everybody.
Okay.